Hey, folks. Sorry for the late start. We had a last minute assembly this morning, so things started a little later than normal. Today, we're going over the last part of chapter 34, and this is going to be the last lecture of the week. We're going to come back for our next one the Monday after spring break. Remember, next week, spring break. So I will post an assignment for you that should be your work for Thursday and Friday, and all that good stuff. And so for the final chapter 34, we have the Emperor Titus, him as a builder, Domitian, the next emperor, his brother, as a military leader, and Domitian's views on religion. So go over a little bit of this real quick, and then we'll get some things on the board. It's going to be relatively short today. So as we were talking about last time, if you'll recall, we were talking about Vespasian starting the Colosseum. And so the Romans loved their games. They loved their gladiatorial combat. They loved it when it was becoming more and more, bloody, violent, and inventive, right? That's one thing that you find in society in Europe that's very... Leave that alone, please, Tristan. Can you please leave that alone? It's distracting me. Thank you. So one thing that you find in Western Europe throughout much of their history is their desire for inventive new forms of violence. And so you find this in gladiatorial combat. But then later on, you're going to find this as well in the Middle Ages whenever it comes to the execution of criminals.
Like
the execution. Well, no, we're talking about the Middle Ages. So what I mean by that is most Middle Age countries in Western Europe, whenever they would execute people, the executioner's job wasn't just to be paid to off people. He was being paid to make it different every time. And so they thought that it had to in a way mimic kind of like the crime that was committed in a sense. So, but we see this starting off in Rome here. And so the Colosseum, you can still go visit it today. And sometimes it's my understanding that they actually put up things like planks and things like that so you can still walk on the grounds. So you see down here, there's like a network of a basement. It's going to go through renovations through different time periods during the Roman Empire, where there's going to be a time period where they're going to put piping inside of it so that it can flood and they can do naval combat. But then they're eventually going to get rid of that, and they're going to put down these networks of hallways and trapdoors so that they can like release lions and wild animals and barbarians out of the middle of nowhere and surprise people while they're in the middle of fighting or executed and stuff. Yeah.
Can I still replicate that in the modern day of the Colosseum?
Sure, the video game. All right. So
like the actual Colosseum.
Yeah, like actual fighting.
Actual fighting? No, I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Italian ones.
Oh yeah, those pesky Italians, and they're not going to allow you to fight to the death laws.
Oh, those Italians.
Well, Italy actually has some pretty strict rules against violence. When I lived in Italy, they had rules where you could be charged with assault with a weapon if you punch somebody with closed fist. They considered that a deadly weapon.
Is it because you were wearing a ring?
No, it's because they had strict laws against fighting. Like guys could slap fight, and they'd get in misdemeanor trouble. But if they closed their fist or kicked at each other, they could get in serious trouble and go to prison. So.
Oh dang! All those little kids who went to juvie for having like a little tussle on the playground.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just their mindset.
They're all Italian.
But as you can see here,
Hey, is wrestling like an illegal sport or something?
well,
Boxing?
I don't know about wrestling. No sport.
Kickboxing would definitely be illegal.
No, sport-wise, you can do things like that. But I'm talking about like if you're like if
Yeah,
you have
if
two
you're
guys
just
like in
sitting,
mutual
just
combat.
Walking down the street.
Yeah.
What
So-
if you're being drunk and you're not going
I'm not so sure about their self-defense laws, but the thing is, then you have to prove that it was self-defense, and that's tricky anywhere you go, really. So I don't know. But hey, so as you see here, yeah, the Romans really loved. The thing is, the water fights where they would have gladiators trained to row boats and fight on these little boats got so big that they're actually going to stop doing them inside the Colosseum and start doing them on a nearby lake so that they can have bigger naval battles. So these are very expensive things, but it kept, if an emperor was able to put these things on, he was able to keep the population relatively peaceful regarding him. So if the emperor could keep the population fed and entertained, he could do whatever he wanted to. So
Like, what did you do with all your money? Well, I was entertaining.
yeah, but that's okay because they were squeezing wealth out of other things like through taxes and from the provinces, from the non-Romans, right? So they were squeezing them, and as they expanded the empire, they got plundered. So they bring the loot in. Of course, it went to the emperor. As we read, Titus is going to build the great bathhouse, and this is going to be a very, very big bathhouse. So bathhouses, as you probably learned from your Latin class, were places where you could like exercise, get education, entertainment, get cleaned up, because you could like do some gambling and stuff like that.
They're more of a luxury than normal.
It was a lot of things. Well, the thing is, even here in America, we had things that were kind of like this called salons inside, or saloons inside of like industrial cities. And they would be a place where you'd have a barber, casino, a bar, a gym, and like it's where like a lot of working men would go.
Western Wild.
People would vote in them, but there were also brothels, kind of like Roman bathhouses. So
There's I forgot the name. But I read somewhere there used to be like cigarette, like restaurants that had their
speakeasies.
yeah.
Yeah, during Prohibition, yeah, that was a big deal. And it's kind of funny because they say one thing that Prohibition did is it just made criminal organizations. All of a sudden, like
Speakeasy?
Yeah, they were like hidden places.
they were like illegal bars when alcohol was prohibited in the U.S.
There's a speakeasy in your mind.
Increase funding. to the
Yeah, but that's not.
And they did that, they did that. But then,
Then they had like a Great Depression. No money.
well, also, and then the police might be a little corrupt, and so it kind of backfired. So I don't know. That's one of the problems. Whenever you create bureaucratic authority, the bureaucracy eventually just exists to increase the bureaucracy and not its intended purpose.
She wants to carry me.
I
Take
Why?
it off,
No way.
carry me.
No one wants to carry you. All right. So, hey, here's another revisitation from your red book in Latin. Mount Vesuvius blows up during this time period. So,
Achilles?
yeah.
Very
Yeah, Mount Vesuvius was an explosive pyroclastic volcano. So that means this wasn't like a slow trickle of lava. The thing built up a massive amount of pressure. And when it erupted, it sent out like a super fast, extremely hot wave of gas and ashes that vaporized many, many things
So
in
it's
their
like
place.
Non-poisonous.
It was like an explosion. It was like before people could react. And so they're still digging up new pieces of artwork and archaeological significant artifacts. Like I was just reading just the other day, they found like this giant bronze chariot in Pompeii just like last week. So they're still finding things. Many things that, of course, were rather fireproof are intact, such as stones and some bronze statues. They are able to uncover some paintings still. And they found lots of graffiti. Romans really liked graffiti, apparently. But you wouldn't know that because most of it washes away over time.
And with a massive fire, you know?
Many of the bodies were evaporated, but in their place were essentially these
Plaster cast.
yeah, exactly. Just like fossils. Like fossils are where an animal used to be, but it's been replaced by minerals.
That's really
That's
dark.
what happened here.
That's really dark.
That guy was powering and he died and his body disappeared and they just plaster casted his body.
And as you can see, a lot of these people, it looks like they only had like a second or two to fall down, cover up, react,
Like your fossils.
And then there's some of them that are
Essentially,
like,
yeah,
oh,
there's-
have you seen
there's
the
not-
sound
there's
of
not
the
any
dog
tissue
that's
left.
rolling over and then like, have you seen something like dogs?
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Here's a guy probably knocked down by an earthquake trying to get back up
Wait,
and then
have you
he's
seen-
vaporized.
Have you seen that thing where it's a guy who's running away from the explosion and he gets hit in the head by a 300-kilogram boulder?
Ow. No.
Or 3,000, something like that. It was a giant boulder who's running and it just like,
I've seen.
bonk, and hit him in the head.
But, all right, so moving on. So during Domitian's reign, this is actually not built during this time. This is a wall coming later on. This is Hadrian's wall. But Domitian is going to have one of his generals push all the way through Britannia, that's England, up to Scotland, where they met across a people known as the Picts. And the Picts were Celtic Scottish people who, like the Romans, thought were just straight crazy. When the Romans came up against them, they found that the Picts were just like flinging themselves like really joyfully into battle. Their mannerisms and things really freaked out the Romans. They fought covered in blue body paint, wearing no armor. The Romans pretty much figured up there in Scotland, it's all just a bunch of rocks and woods. I think we're good down here.
They got beat so bad they ran away and built a wall so they didn't have to build it
Well,
again.
they did build a wall. They
At
did
least
build a wall.
I can build a border now.
But the thing is, though, because the Picts are going to be, the Picts and then later the Scots are going to be so disconnected from much of European society that they're actually going to remain almost in the Bronze Age while the rest of Europe is passing through the Middle Ages. So they're going to be like they won't even have a lot of metalworking and stuff like that, or villages and stuff for a very long time. So, all right. So Domitian, yeah, so he's known as one of the bad emperors. And as your book said, he had comical defeats fighting in Germany, but he would still come home and throw celebrations. And he's going to start something that's never going to leave the empire and is going to be one of its factors that leads to its ruin, to where he is going to pay off barbaric people to prevent them from attacking Rome. And by doing so, not only is he depleting treasury, but that invites other people to come and threaten Rome, hoping for bribes. And so you're going to have this guy set that tone at precedent. He's also going to up the ante on religious persecution of Christians and Jews because they refuse to participate in the Caesar cult. And so here you have some Christians being beckoned away into the Colosseum. And as we talked about last time, was not so good. So. And during this time period is when you're really going to have Christianity move underground and become an underground church. And so even today, in the catacombs of Rome and the Vatican, there are a lot of these secret altars and burial places and places of meeting that Christians would meet in, and they would develop secret symbology and stuff like that so they would know where to go, who was friend, who wasn't, because they were really being afraid of being turned in and then fed to the lions.
Who wanted me?
So let's go ahead and let's get a few points of notes today. So we have Titus the builder. So what all did he build?
Bathhouses.
Yeah. So built the great bathhouse.
Finish the Colosseum.
And finish the Colosseum.
Yeah. And so what we see here is that if you're a Roman citizen and if you're doing the thing that Romans want you to do, life's pretty good. There's a lot of public works projects that'll make your life better. You'll be clean, fit, entertained, fed, educated.
Fed.
Yeah, for free though. Well, relatively free. Well, sometimes the grain was put at such a low price, whereas like really the loaf of bread was worth $1, but you might only have to pay 20 cents to get it. And like they'll pay the rest. Like the emperor will pay the rest. He's like, I got you, buddy. He gives you a really good coupon book,
It
right?
was the first
So-
day of like removing tax from essential food items, you know?
I'm thinking of like subsidies, like big subsidization. So that's pretty short. We'll just end it. But we know there's other things, but we're just going to end it there. So what about the next guy, the next emperor, Domitian as a military leader? So at first, what were the successes? And what was the name of that general?
I forget.
He was able to defeat some people.
Well, his general was, what was the name of that general who went up to Great Britain? Or that, not Great Britain, it wasn't Great Britain. Britannia.
Agricola.
Yeah, Agricola?
Agricola.
It says on the farmer.
Yeah, Agricola is Latin for farmer. So he was named the farmer?
Agricola.
All he's using is the.
Was it Agricola? Let me double check
It's
that.
spelled. That's how you spell it.
Yeah.
How you have it, that's how you spell it.
Yeah, how did I not notice it?
No, it's not.
Ildy's right too, I didn't know so it does it, so it's like farmer.
Yeah, his name's the farmer. Okay. I mean, okay. Yeah. So his general, Agricola,
General farmer.
will defeat and take Britannia, it's England.
So instead of putting Domitian in military leader, oh wait, never mind, that was X.
Yeah. Domitian will then lead the army versus who? What was the name of those people across the Rhine or the Danube?
People.
The what? Yeah.
The ticks. No.
The Rhine,
The Picts.
Germans.
No.
Yeah. What was the name of that tribe?
How about the Germans?
It was in the chapter.
Was it?
Yeah, with
The
the D.
Nazis.
No, quit Nazis. I can tell the difference. All right.
Romans versus Nazis.
Oh, the Dacians. Yeah. The army against the Dacians. Did he win?
No.
No. He lost and paid a bribe. He's like, please, 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 say I won and don't attack us, and I'll give you so much gold, it's crazy. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, sure, you won. You won, big guy. So there we go.
You
All right.
won this summer, but next summer we'll be back.
So if you pay enough, you get the trophy. So what was his deal about religion? How did
No.
how did he view himself? What did
As
he
a
say?
god,
The
like,
God.
Yeah, made himself. He deified himself.
like people would do stuff after he died, but he did while he was alive.
Yeah, he was so hated. He's like, well, I better get people to worship me now while I can. So, so made idols of himself and worship was mandatory. Who couldn't do that?
Jews and Christians.
Yeah, because they're monotheists. So yeah, Jews and Christians could not comply. Otherwise, they wouldn't be Jews and Christians. Of course, the thing is, these persecutions are going to drive a lot of Christians to where they're going to do these things so that they and their families can live. And then it's going to be a big question for Christianity later on. It's like, what do we do with these?
It's PL, uncomply. That says.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And so at first, a lot of Christians were like, well, we should exclude people who did this. Yeah, they were scared of dying. But eventually, the early church is going to decide that, forgiveness is the better mode.
Then it's like, and they were killed.
Yeah. So, yeah. They were persecuted to death. Yeah, so this is a time of great persecution, and there's going to be quite a few more of those.
Also, John the
Until-
Baptist was a thing.
There's going to be quite, and so, yeah, John of Patmos. So, yeah, that's the guy who's going to write Revelations. So that's during this time period. He's going to be exiled. He's to the island of
And then
Patmos.
he sees the visions and he's like, wow,
hmm
amazing.
And so this is the time period for Revelations. It's going to be during this time period when he's going to write about, of course, like the end of times. So yeah, short and sweet. That's going to do it for today. I need to catch up and post all those old notes I've been taking pictures of for y'all. But yeah, I'll see y'all again on the video the Monday after spring break. I'll post an assignment for the next 2 days tomorrow. So see you later, kids.
They will see you, but you will not see them.